ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2012 World Juggling Federation competition. Competitors from all over the world have gathered here at the Sioux Falls Arena in beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We have seen some unbelievable feats of juggling this week, and we're going to see more tonight. Great to have you joining us. I'm Mike Henriksen.
And hi, I'm Scotty Meltzer, and tonight we're going to see the advanced short programs and the finals of Major League Combat.
As you see the competitors warming up, World Championship Juggling, these competitors have been waiting for over a year. We've seen them compete in 27 events over the past week. Now it's down to the final three.
Coordination, dexterity, speed, strength, endurance, and dedication. These competitors have been pushed to their limits in a series of competitions that are as much a battle against themselves as they are against each other. It's been 1 year since they've seen each other in competition, and now they're back, faster, stronger, and more determined than ever. This is the culmination of a new year of training, the accumulated score from 30 events. Endurance, freestyle, 360s, and the isolated endurance. They come from all over the world. They train in seclusion, practicing millions of throws, preparing for the annual World Juggling Federation Overall Championship. You'll find them practicing on basketball courts, in racquetball courts, refining their trajectory and timing, spacing and symmetry, speed and accuracy. The competitor scores from this week-long event have been tallied, but the highest scoring events are still to come. Now, they will face their final test live in the World Juggling Federation Ball, Ring, and Club Short programs. This is the main event.
And there you got a look at the falls of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is what the city is named for. And this is going to be a great night, Scotty, because when it comes to actually competitive juggling, those of you who have been watching the Olympics this week, you will understand this. Much of the scoring is actually modeled after the gymnastics floor routine scoring system. At the beginning of this week's events, I stopped by when they were holding prelims to get a better understanding of how the competitors are scored. And it's now my pleasure to show you what it was I learned.
All right, Mike, so before the convention started and before prelims take place, they have to submit their intention to compete, and then after they do that, they have to send us in a routine form. After they do that, they're eligible for the prelim competitions, which we're going to hold in order to see who moves on to the finals. Now, this is a routine form. It has a move database, which has all of the moves that we could possibly think of for a competitor to do with a given prop, balls, rings, and clubs. They're going to find which moves they want to do off of this sheet, and then they're going to plug them into the main routine form under their move column. They're going to be able to connect them to one another and get bonus points for connecting one thing to another depending on its difficulty also. All the moves have point values that are here, and then the connections have connection values, which are here, and those two things added up together is going to give them a start value.
The three up, the high, mid, low.
It's all good so far.
360 and the 744. Or 645, I mean.
645, yep. Just walking a little bit. Definitely qualified that.
It's not connected, okay? Goes back to pattern.
Stop.
And go into overhead.
Good.
5 up, back into back crosses. Up.
Okay, he didn't connect the back crosses. He's going back for it.
Back to back crosses. 5 up, 360, back into back crosses.
Yep.
Back cross 360. Moving a little bit.
And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's got like... And that's it. Thanks, Doug. He had one drop. He had like 3 minor walks.
And one of the things he messed up on, he went back and...
Yeah, and he went back and got the connection.
So he did get the connection.
Okay.
Yeah, so his start value is pretty much full. He didn't miss anything that was on the sheet.
Correct.
And so then we just have to give him deductions for 1 drop and then 3 minor walks.
This scoring routine actually takes out some of the subjectivity. which I really like. Everything is already predetermined. You know that if you can master this move, it's worth this amount of points. Putting these things together are going to multiply your points. The more difficult the move, the higher the connection bonus will be. And it all goes together into a very crisp process. As far as the judging, it leaves very little for the actual judges to determine.
Got that.
And we have been here all week, as has these competitors, and they've obviously been trying to get the highest total score that they can. Let's take a look at the graphic and see how everyone actually sets up as far as how this week has progressed coming into tonight's finals.
Now, each of these competitions, they award 1 point for first place, a half a point for second place, and a quarter point for third place. Tonight, each short program can score as high as 10 points each. So the competitions we're about to see could make a dramatic difference in these placements.
And we're about to get underway with the first competitor in the advanced ball short program. This will be a 5-ball competition. First, let's take a look at what happened 2 days ago in the WJF endurance competition with our highlights correspondent, Jason Garfield.
All right, we just wrapped up the endurance competitions. Now, these competitions push the limits of speed and precision in high numbers juggling. Get ready for the Riddles Jewelry Endurance Highlights moment in sport juggling. In the ball endurance competition, Doug Sayers was not only the only person to qualify 9 balls, but he also achieved 31 catches. In the 8-ring endurance, once again, Doug Sayers was the only competitor to qualify 8 rings and secured another point with 23 catches. And in the 7-club endurance, finally we had some other competitors to challenge Doug to dig deeper and do better. Ben Thompson qualified with 15 catches, earning him .25 points. John Brady more than doubled that with 35 catches. And it's such a nice pattern. Let's just watch it. And triathlon juggler Doug Sayers barely took this one with 37 catches, just 2 more catches than John Brady, who usually gets over 50 catches in this competition. But we don't have to talk about that right now. 37 catches wins Doug another point. Doug did better, so I dig Doug. Now, the isolated endurance competitions restrict the competitors' movement, forcing them to make perfect throws or drop. In the 5-club backcross endurance, Doug Sayers finished with 22 catches, and John Brady, the smoothest 5-club backcrosser in the world, just about tripled Doug's run with 62 catches. Now, let's just watch this since it's so pretty. That's what John's doing. Okay, nobody has the patience for this. Let's just fast forward there. And it ends the same as everyone else. Just lasted longer than anyone else. We then moved on to the 7-club isolated endurance. Now this year, only 2 competitors persevered under the pressure. Doug Sayers barely qualified with 15 catches, and Ben Thompson barely beat Doug with 17 catches. Just 2 more catches this time working against Doug Sayers. And this has been your Riddles Jewelry Endurance Highlights moment in sport juggling.
When we come back, our first competitor in the WJF 5-ball short program, Daniel Brown, will be coming up. Doug Sayers with a commanding lead, but Scotty, as you mentioned, a lot can matter when it comes to the other points tonight.
Absolutely. Just 10 points are being awarded for each of these, so they could overtake Doug Sayers. It's possible. We have a big, tight race for the silver between Jack Levy and Ben Thompson. Dan Brown can catch up easily.
And when we come back, it is the WJF 5-ball short program, Daniel Brown, after this. The 2012 World Juggling Federation Advanced Short Programs on ESPN3, brought to you by Riddles Jewelry. It's the riddle things that count. Swift Contractors, dedicated to the future of Sioux Falls. And the WJFstore.com for the very best instructional DVDs and equipment for juggling. And we are now set to go with our final competitions of the evening. Welcome back to the 2012 WJF Overall Championships, and let's get rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, first out for the Advanced 5-ball short program, this is Daniel Brown.
And we're starting the 5-ball short program with Daniel Brown.
I started juggling because in all honesty, I just found it a lot of fun. It's helped me understand a challenge and really work towards that goal. There are outsiders who think that like, oh yeah, my friend, I saw he was juggling 20 balls. Well, obviously, no, that wasn't true, but the jump from like 4 to 5 balls is a really big increased difficulty. It's not the same jump as it was from 3 to 4 balls. So people don't understand how difficult it is to add that extra ball in your pattern. The biggest thing that probably bothers me is they equate juggling dangerous items as good juggling. And sometimes you can show a person a 7-ball trick or something, and then they'll still think like juggling 3 torches is more impressive. Really, juggling 3 torches is like juggling 3 clubs, and it really doesn't matter what you put on the end of it. You can put whatever dangerous object you want on the end of it. It doesn't make it any harder, especially in the sport juggling scene. All the props are made to be ideal for juggling. They try to make it the best for juggling, and they want to see juggling at the best skill possible, not the highest danger factor. You know, there's no gimmicks here.
Dan Brown, as we are set to get underway. Scotty, take us through.
The hardest moves in Dan's routine are actually going to come up in the middle. He's going to do a massive connection section you're going to see. Right here, that's a 5-up 360. Gets all 5 balls up in the air and takes that into a synchronized side swap. We call that 6x4. That's much harder than the basic pattern. He pushes all 5 balls up in that 6x4 and tries for the 360 under it, but he doesn't get it back into the 6x4. He's going to try it again. There's that synchronized pattern, pushes all 5 up, back into the synchronized pattern, and he's qualified it. That's big. Here's that connection we're talking about. He's got a high-low shower. Shower is where all balls are coming out of the right hand, and the left hand just passes them across. You can see that. Stacks them up, high, middle. We call that a high-low shower. There's his 360 in it. Back into the regular pattern. Now here comes that bit. He's going to stop for a second. He doesn't lose any points stopping there. You're allowed to stop and collect your thoughts as long as you collect. There's a 5-up into a very difficult side swap called a 7-4-4, and here that section comes. He's got his 5-ball pattern. That's a 3-up 360 into overhead synchronized 6x4. Now, you're not going to see anybody else do overhead 6x4 like that synchronized pattern, and he did it coming out of a 360. That's huge. Another 5-up 360, back into the regular pattern, preparing for a 5-up 180. That's just a half turn, 360 the full turn.
And again, as we learned in the video, when it comes to the scoring, outstanding performance by Dan Brown, but he will be docked a few points for moving a bit, and also a couple of drops thus far.
Absolutely. Now, when you see those behind the back throws, those back crosses, the fact that he's moving his feet for each of those, he's getting a deduction every time he moves his feet. In these overheads, he's really got to stay in one place for it, and he nails it.
That was Daniel Brown.
Nice job there by Dan, but again, those movements will cost him some points.
Right. You're looking for perfect form. Anything you deviate from the perfect form is a deduction.
Let's send it over to Jolene Letcher. Jolene, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Well, Dan, I know you're kind of breathing a sigh of relief here. A little sweaty. Tell me, how did you think it went?
I think you did pretty well. I nailed every single move. I had to bail on a couple of the connections, but overall it went well.
Do you feel like it went how you wanted it to go, how it was planned?
Yes, it went well. I mean, obviously, in any routine, it could have gone technically a tiny bit better, but overall it went well.
What gave you the most trouble?
Maybe the back crosses were a tiny bit shaky, but I still nailed it.
And now it's done. How do you feel? More confident, less confident, going in out now that the short program's done?
I feel a little bit more confident. I now have actually clubs to go on next, and that's a few minutes from now, but we'll see how I do then.
All right, thanks, Dan, and we'll let you kind of catch your breath.
Yeah, breathing heavily.
He is breathing heavy, guys, and we'll send it back to you.
Thank you.
The final score for Dan Brown's ball routine is a 5.98.
A 5.98. Nice job by Dan. And
next up in the 5-ball advanced competition, Jack Levy.
there you get a good look at our next competitor, Jack Levy.
I joined this juggling company in Edina, Minnesota, where my hometown is, and I made a ton of friends through it. All my friends, like all my good friends, juggle, and we really push each other to get better. I'm most concerned about Doug Sayers, because he's Doug Sayers. He's just unreal at everything. He's dominated everything so far. And Dan Brown, too. He's a good friend of mine, but we're pretty equal in skill level, and we're both competing in the same thing, so he's probably my biggest competition.
And we are set to go with Jack Levy.
Now this is a big day for Jack Levy, not just nailing that opening right there. That was a 3-up 720 into that synchronized 6x4. Those 720s, that's that double spin, so hard. to do. There's that same high-low shower we saw before. He had to abort it there. Now, yesterday, Jack's grandfather went in for a hip surgery, and he's in recovery today. And Jack is dedicating his performance today to his grandfather, Tom Simonson. And so for Tom Simonson, we see right there a 5-up 360 into a synchronized 6x4. We're hoping Tom is watching this right now as he sees that full 5-up 360 into a side swap. That high throw there, that's looks like a 744, could be a 944. That's pretty big. That's a big side swap there. Side swap means that he's outside of the normal pattern, doing a more complicated juggling pattern. Right there, that's called a 74644, which just means one high and then a whole lot of hard juggling under it. 74644 is what we're seeing right now. And
again,
to connect that.
We're seeing quite a bit of foot movement out of Jack. That will be a deduction.
He's got it nailed right now. He's rock solid, but a little movement there. Going for that 720 out of the side swap. That is so hard. That is such a unique move, and he nailed it.
And there you can see the look of joy on Jack's face as Jack makes his way over to the interview area. Let's take a look at this replay again, Scotty.
There's that 360 under that big side swap we were talking about.
Yeah, very nice job. Very technically sound by Jack. Let's send it over to Jolene Letcher.
And we do have Jack here. Jack, tell me, do you feel like you raised the bar? How did it go?
It went pretty well, actually. I had to bail on a lot of my connections, but it was dropless. That's all I could really ask for, really. I mean, balls is not my strength. Clubs is what I'm really good at, and I'm getting excited to do that. So going out there after doing this, and I'm excited.
The plan that you had in your mind, though, overall, you felt like you stuck to it?
Yeah, definitely. I thought I made some mature decisions by catching when I didn't have full control of the patterns, and then we were starting up. So although I'll get points marked off for that, I think I'm going to do fairly well because it was dropless. So.
And I know you said this is a little bit more challenging for you. What part gave you the most trouble, though?
Probably my first trick into, which most of the viewers won't know, but it's a 6x4, 3-up 360 into a high-low shower. That was my second move, and I was most nervous about that, but I nailed it, so I'm happy.
All right, thanks, Jack, and we'll go back to Scotty and Mike.
All right, and let's get the scores from the judges.
The final score for Jack Levy's ball routine was 7.15.
Very nice.
An excellent score, and Jack is certainly happy with that score right there.
Yes, well, he should be.
Advanced short program, Tanner Alder.
And so Tanner Alder is up next. There you get a look at the youngster, just 16 years old. Let's take some time to get to know Tanner.
I started juggling in 6th grade when I was in PE. My PE teacher decided to teach us all how to do 3 balls. And then I found the WJF. That's when I first found the WJF was on YouTube. And soon I was teaching my PE teacher how to do 4 balls. And competing makes me a little nervous. And also the ESPN telecast definitely makes me more nervous. I'm definitely most worried about competing against Doug. Jack Levy is in second just because he's built up to about the same level that I am. And so it'll be tough to do better than he can. If we don't both do good, then it'll be a really close competition.
And again, you saw Tanner is our youngest competitor, just 16 years old.
Tanner's opening is the hardest thing in his entire routine. Take a look at that. That's the 3-up 360 into overheads. He connects that. Moves into a sight swap. Again, we call that 744. One ball going high as if you were juggling 7 balls. Connects that into a 360. Back into a sight swap. There's that 6x4 going on. Stacks them all up into 2 more 360s, including a full 5-up. Into a 4x6, which is an even more advanced version of that synchronized pattern. Into a double spin, that's 720 all around under 3 balls. And his 5-ball back crosses, he did have to abort before he qualified him. Goes back to the back crosses. A little bit of foot movement there. Really hard to do back crosses without moving your feet.
But in general, he talked about the nerves of being on live television. He looks pretty calm for a youngster.
Oh, he's handling it so well. And he's only been juggling for 4 years. I have juggling clubs older than him. All right, that's 1 drop. But if he can maintain his composure, he just loses the points on that drop and goes right back to his pattern. The hardest move he's got coming up, individual move, is his final move. That was a 2-stage 720. 2 spins with the catch between, and that's the hardest move right there individually he went for. That's an all 5-up 720. He's going to try it one more time.
And again, each competitor has 2 minutes.
1, 2. Tries it another time. We'll see if he goes for it one more time. He's going to let that one go and not get any more deductions on it.
That was Tanner Alder.
But again, a very solid performance for Tanner this afternoon. Let's take a look here at the replay.
Tanner's, as we said, the hardest sequence he had is right here at the beginning, and he really, really did well with it. I believe he kept in all of his connections. He may have left off one. Connecting means going directly from one move to another without any regular juggling in between. Just some big, big tricks. The final move, that 5 up, 720, all 5 balls up, didn't hit that, but a great job.
And again, 4 years he's been juggling. Let's send it over to Jolene.
Tanner, you mentioned you were a little nervous going into this. How do you feel it went?
I think it went really well. I'm really relieved right now, but of course, you hope for no drops, but I think I tried my best and I think it went really well.
Final score for Tanner Alder is 5.68.
So there you see Tanner, 5.68. And again, a couple of disappointments there at the end. But here we've got Doug Sayers, Jack Levy, and Dan Brown in the top 3 here as the current standings.
Final competitor in the advanced 5-ball short program, Doug Sayers.
We're finishing up the 5-ball short program with Doug Sayers.
I like the short programs in general because that allows me to do my own original transitions. Transitions are a big part of what I like to practice. I am worried about other competitors. Ben Thompson has some ridiculous moves. He's doing the club program. I'm definitely worried about him. A live telecast definitely adds a new level onto the nervousness, but I try to channel that and turn it into excitement.
Doug talked about being nervous, but Doug is a professional juggler. He performs all the time. He does fairs and festivals. He does corporate events. He toured with the advanced program for Cirque du Soleil. Right now he's doing a beautifully hard trick. That's a high, mid, low shower there. Connects that to a 360 back into that high, mid, low shower. That's so beautiful. Another 360 out of it. Coming up right here, we're coming up on the hardest movement sequence in his whole routine. It's a unique 360 and a side swap takes that into another side swap. 7771 if you care, into a stacked 9-5-9-7-5-3. He does it faster than I can say it. It's a really hard move. Doug is doing beautifully now. He's made all his connections and all his moves. There's those overheads we talked about, very difficult to control there. Tries to connect those to back crosses, doesn't make it. Now this transition here, the head position is the same, that's good, but look at the change in the arms for there. That's so hard to connect. And he makes it, one drop. The drop will cost him, but still, that's a big connection and a big scoring move. A 5-up 360 directly connected into those back crosses. Beautiful again. And a 3-high 360 coming out of the back crosses. That's just huge. A little bit of foot movement on that, but not much.
And there he is. Doug with an outstanding performance.
Now, each competitor has 2 minutes to do all their moves. Doug nailed his and got out of there in less than a minute, it looked like. There's that 5-ball pretzel. Right over here are those overheads we talked about. Very hard to control the balls there, and he did that connection to the back crosses here.
And Doug is standing by with our Jolene Letcher.
Doug, how do you feel it went?
Oh, it went pretty well. One drop's not so bad. A little shaky at the first trick. 5-ball Mills mess. Had a couple of collisions, so I just stopped and restarted.
But overall, you felt like it stuck with your plan?
Yeah, for the most part. I did drop a connection from 5-ball back crosses to a 5-up 360 back-to-back crosses. So it was a little easier than anticipated.
All right, and you feel a little more confident now?
Yeah, it felt great.
Final score for Doug Sayers' ball routine was a 9.15.
Wow. Well, Scotty, you talked about the fact that he was nailing it. There's no question that the judges obviously agreed with you as well.
Very few deductions and a very high start value for that.
Jack and Dan having a battle there at second place, and Tanner Alder did a nice job of moving up in the standings as well.
Right. Jack has made more space between he and Dan, so that's going to make it hard for Dan to come in second, and Tanner is right on Dan's heels.
Doug has to turn right around and go from balls into rings, so let's bring him out.
Ladies and gentlemen, your first and only advanced 5-range short program, Doug Sayers.
Now, what kind of a transition is this to go directly from balls to rings?
It's very hard. It's not the change in props that's going to kill him. It's the exhaustion. Now, luckily, he really did nail his 5-ball routine so fast that he's not as tired as he would be. The reason that only Doug is out here with rings is he's the only competitor who qualified his routine with rings.
And so with that, as he's warming up, now the program gets underway. Is that just trying to get a feel for things when you're warming up that way?
You've got to keep your arms warm. You're getting used to the lights. You really want to nail that. Now, right now, Doug is doing this 5-ring competition mainly for himself. He wants to really put a lot of points on the board so he can get a higher score than he did last year to show that he could beat Vova. All right. There's Doug with a really nice 5-up 360 in his rings. He's doing a 7-4-4 combination. Right now, what he's doing is a half shower. That flat front throw there, much harder to control. Goes into that synchronized pattern, that 6x4 with the rings. Takes a 360 out of that, 3-up 360. And a nice little pull down to end it. That's a full reverse there. All the rings flat to the audience. Very hard to control it, and he's able to pull off a 360 back connected into that full reverse. Another really clean move, and almost no foot movement if you look there, Mike.
And you can just see by the look on Doug's face as well just how much he enjoys what he's doing. He really does a great job of selling it to the audience.
He does. There's a 720 with the rings. Not a lot of control coming out of it. A little sloppy, but still nails it. And a nice halo throw on the end. Those halos are those absolutely flat throws he did there.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Doug Sayer.
All right. Here, these are pancake throws, throwing the rings as if they were clubs. Very hard to control. Right there, this is that half shower. So it brings it around.
And Doug, going back to back, what kind of challenge is that? Because we just talked to you a couple seconds ago, it seemed like.
Yeah, it's a pretty big challenge. I mean, getting used to a new prop like instantly is so hard to do.
How do you do that in your mind? Is it a mental switch?
I guess so. I mean, you just have to get a feel for the rings as quickly as you possibly can. Transferring from the balls is a little bit different. So.
And as you're moving forward here, how you feeling now?
I feel like I'm a little bit on a roll. You know, coming from the ball routine, 9.15 was pretty great. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
And let's find out how he did on rings.
The final score for Doug Sayer's ring routine is an 8.67.
That is going to make that space between Doug and Jack even wider. It's going to be even harder to catch up with Doug, if possible.
Very nice job by Doug, as he is the only one to throw the rings. We're now on to the 5-club short program.
Our first competitor is Ben Thompson.
And as you get a look at Ben Thompson as he comes out to start his warm-ups, let's get to know Ben Thompson.
I started juggling a long time ago, one day when I just didn't have anything to do. Juggling has increased my hand-eye coordination so much. I don't miss a baseball. I don't miss a free throw. I get really frustrated when I practice. To vent that frustration, I usually throw things, which is okay because that's what I do when I'm not frustrated, is I throw things, but with a lot less control. I found that throwing things up is better than throwing things down. I started throwing things down and they kept breaking, so I've moved to throwing things really high in the air. Competing does make me nervous, especially when I know how good these other guys are. The telecast doesn't actually make it that much worse. It's just an extra excitement level. I'm already nervous. I don't think I'm going to get that much worse.
Ben Thompson starts with a 5-up 360, doesn't get it. He's going to go back and try that again. There's all 5 up. There's his 360. He really does own that trick. That's probably just nerves missing that.
And Scotty, a lot of people, when they see the clubs, they think those are very heavy. They're not. They're 9 ounces, but they look like bowling pins, so a lot of people assume they're heavy.
No, they're made for juggling, and every year they get lighter and better. The clubs that we're using now are so much better than the clubs that I started with 20, 30 years ago. And the juggling is so much better, as you can see. The hardest move in Ben's routine is going to be the final move he's going to go for right here. Ben graduated from the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. He studied actuarial sciences, so he's a big numbers guy, but not so much into the side swaps, he tells me, which means there's still hope for him with women. He's going for his back crosses there. He's looking a little frustrated. Let's see if he can make this work.
Now, Ben has not competed, actually, since, was it 2005, he told us?
2005, so he's left the arena for a while. He's been juggling that whole time. He hasn't stopped juggling. And there he's going for 10 throws. He needs to get a full 10 throws for this to count. We'll see if he tries it one more time. No, he's going to move on to his side swap section. It's a 6-4-5. Not that that matters to anyone but me. Here we go. Now that is a big trick he's going for there. It's one of those stacked side swaps. Very hard. He's going to try it from the side. 9-7-5-3-1 with the 1 behind the back. He gets the trick, but he doesn't get the landing, and so that move will not count. He gets no points for that. Moving on to a 5 club shower. Tough move. Ben's very frustrated right now. He knows he can perform better than this.
And one of the reasons he said that he did come back to the competition is simply because of the fact he enjoys hanging out. This is quite a fraternity that he's a member of. So Ben Thompson will wrap up his routine.
Now, Ben had some moves he still wanted to hit, but he had run out of time, so he didn't even get a chance to try for his biggest moves, and those are his biggest scoring moves. So that's going to be a real problem for him with the judges.
But again, just back to competition after several years off. Ben Thompson coming down from Minnesota.
And you see that move that we just saw there. That's a really tough move that he went for there. The singles with 5 into a 360, and he nailed that. There's the beginning of his back cross. Is so clean.
And let's send it over to Jolene Letcher.
Thanks, guys. Ben, how do you feel it went?
I can comfortably say it's the worst juggling I've ever done on stage, but it's still fun. It's a good time out here.
So it is safe to say it didn't go as planned.
No, it did not go that well, but under the lights and in the nerves of the competition here, you never know how things are going to go, and it didn't pan out that well. It happens.
What was most troublesome for you?
Most troublesome? Oh, my hands got really sweaty because they're so nervous, and my club started sticking on my hands. A couple times I almost just whipped it right into my own face, so that was a bit of a setback.
All right, thanks so much, Ben.
Thanks. Let's find out the score.
Ben Thompson's final club routine score was 0.14.
So there you go, and we can now see the results in the overall championship after the first ring and the club routine as well. And again, Doug Sayers with an incredible lead. He is putting on quite the competition. When we come back, more club juggling with Dan Brown, Jack Levy, and Doug Sayers. The final competitors in the 5 club short program when we come back to Sioux Falls after this. Welcome back to the Sioux Falls Arena, along with Scotty Meltzer and Jolene Letcher, as well as Jason Garfield. I'm Mike Henriksen. We are coming up on the final 3 individual competitions for the overall championships. But first of all, it's time for the Swift Contractors What If moment.
WJF video game. That sounds awesome.
It'd be fun to see the video game versions of Doug or Toby, any of the people who competed here in the past.
If there was a WJF video game, I'd want to be that person who just annihilates everyone in MLC.
Working on transitions within the video game, to be able to do all kinds of things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do in real life.
Yeah, WJF video game. That's sweet.
It would be really cool.
Obviously, I'd have all these awesome, cool stats and stuff. And
9-ball, 9 up 360. Not that that would be necessarily impossible to do, but nobody's done it yet.
I don't know if there'd be stats for people, but if it was like something like a Tony Hawk game, then I'd be one of those dudes.
I could play as myself, but I think it'd be more fun to play as other people.
there was a WJF video game, I'd want to play as Doug Sayers.
Ladies and gentlemen, next up for the Advanced 5 Club Short Program, Daniel Brown.
So Daniel Brown returns to the arena. We mentioned this a bit. During this warm-up, Scotty, what is it that they are trying to get the feel for?
They want to get the feel for the lights, and they want to get a little calm out there, plus keeping your muscles warm. Standing, you can't do moves like this cold. You've really got to warm up for it. And Dan's ready to start. Dan is much more comfortable with balls than clubs, but he's really going to give it his best here. A couple of nice side swaps on the side. Again, that's that 6-4-5 side swap. I think he qualified it before he stopped. So he loses a minor deduction for stopping there, so sloppy, but not much.
But again, you mentioned the fact that he is more comfortable juggling balls. This is really a situation where these competitors are all trying to push themselves as far as they can go and expand their horizons.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Dan Brown, the whole reason he started juggling was he saw the WJF on ESPN and on YouTube, and he just thought that that was the greatest thing. And it was seeing it on ESPN that made him think that it was legitimate. So we're hoping that he's going to inspire a whole nother generation of jugglers. Dan is a professional juggler. He does comedy juggling shows. Now, in his show, he would never be attempting moves this hard. Really, it's only in this competition that you're going to see jugglers this good pushing themselves this hard. There's a nice 3-up 360 in 5. He goes to a 3-up 180. That's turning halfway around. Now, even though he doesn't turn all the way around, that's still a super hard move because the orientation of the clubs comes in backwards.
Now he'll move back to center.
Setting up for a nice move for his back crosses. A little bit of foot motion on it, one on the wrong end, but he does land them all, so he's going to get credit for those back crosses. Gets a little deduction for moving his feet.
That was Daniel Brown.
A little deduction for the back of the club, but still an excellent performance with the back crosses. No drops in that routine that I saw.
And again, just 19 years old.
He's, as we said,
360, and let's send it over to Jolene Letcher.
Dan, how you feeling about that?
Feeling great. Feeling really good.
How did the plan go from what was in your mind to what actually happened?
It went really well. I nailed every single trick. I had to like collect on a few, but I believe I still got points on everything. It was a little shaky, but I'm really happy I didn't drop it all.
And any part that you really thought, it gave you a challenge?
The very last trick, the back cross, is juggling behind the back. I was a little concerned about that, but I nailed it.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's find out Dan's score.
Dan's final score for his club routine was 3.66.
Next up for the Advanced 5 Club Short Program, Jack Levy.
Jack Levy is a sophomore at Gustavus Adolphus College. He's studying business and accounting. So he's been asked, can you juggle my books more times than he needs to be?
You know, we hear about that, though, Scotty, that juggling and math go hand in hand as far as one skill that develops the other.
They really do. There are so many math geeks in juggling. You have 3 groups: math geeks, hippies, and sports guys. The WJF is all about the sports guys, but a lot of us math geeks can actually do a little bit of sports, so both. Now we've got Jack is starting with that synchronized 6x4 with clubs, which is much, much harder with clubs than it is with rings. He connects that 6x4 to another side swap. That's a 7-4-4 there. That one club going high is the 7, and the 4, and the other clubs are doing the 4s.
And you may notice that several of these competitors are using different clubs. Here in Sioux Falls, Osted's Golf is one of the biggest golf retailers in the country, and quite honestly, that's what this comes down to, is an individual feel when it comes to these particular clubs. They're just different brands, similar to Nike and TaylorMade being different type of golf clubs.
Exactly, and there are so many more brands now. There's so many great clubs out there and manufacturers. We're looking forward to the manufacturers to choose to start sponsoring some of the athletes. That would be great. He's just connected a 5-up 360 into singles. Having those spin just one time is much harder than 2. It's hard to control that fewer spins there. There he goes for a 3-up 720. 2 full rotations under 3 clubs in the air, and he nails it. Now a 5-up 360. Nails that and takes that right into that side swap, that 7-4-4. That's a beautiful connection. He gets extra points for that. I'm not sure what he was trying to connect that to. Looked like it was a half shell. Actually, it's another synchronized 6x4. That's what he's going for. His 3-up 360. Looks like he's trying to connect that to those singles. We'll see if he tries it again. Sets up for the 360. Sets up for his back crosses. There we go. Just gets 4 throws off. Those back crosses are so hard with 5 clubs and so hard to control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got to get 10 catches for that to count.
And that will do it for Jack.
That was Jack Levy.
So here we see on the replay.
There's that connected 6x4 with a 360 connected to that synchronized 6x4. Right now in slow motion, that's what a standard 5 club pattern looks like. 2 spins of each club in the air. Sets up for a 360, throws 3 of them high, throws all 5 high, turns around all the way, there's the 360 catch. He's going for all catches, and he just barely misses that. You can see the over-rotation.
And yes, that was a bat that flew through. Let's send it over to Jolene.
Thanks, guys. Now, Jack, you just said you should get extra points because there was a bat that actually flew through.
You know, I should say I noticed that, but I really didn't notice that. So, but yeah, I'll take the extra points if the judges are up for that. That's cool. I'll take them.
Tell me, other than the bat, go as planned?
Yeah, it was a little shaky, a little more drops than I liked. Those back crosses at the end are tough for me, so I'm not too bummed about that. I hit my big transitions, my big trick, the 3-up 720. And hit my starting sequence too, which is what I really wanted to do. So,
final score for Jack Levy's club routine was a 2.85.
Our final competitor for the Advanced 5 Club Short Program, Doug Sayers.
How does Doug stack up when it comes to clubs as opposed to what we've seen him do with rings and balls?
Clubs is one of Doug's strongest points, and he's got 2 really, really big moves here. He's going to open with a really, really hard side swap to start with, and then he's got some massive connections at the end. Here we go. This is his first one. This is a really hard trick he wants to get. It's called 66661, and he connects that. He's trying to connect that to back crosses. We'll see if he can do it. That 1 is the 1 club that goes back, that he just shoots from one hand to the other. He's going to go back and try the whole thing. There's that 66661, 66661, into the back crosses. He's got to get 10 of them. He gets them. That's a big, big scoring connection there. There's those 5 club singles, much harder to do. He does a 360 in singles and corrects for a little over rotation there. He grabs it just before it gets too far. So that's excellent. He's just a super, super club juggler.
Now, why is it that some turn to the side, some for certain tricks, etc.?
That's mainly the lights that they're dealing with. When Doug is performing professionally, he'll turn to the side to make a trick look better, to make a move look better. Right now, he's doing it to find the best position. That's another big sight swap 360 there out of 6x4. A lot of points there. He's very happy he made this. Now coming up right here, this is this connection that is so unique. Pushing 6x4 into back crosses. We'll see if he can do it. So there's that synchronized pattern. We call that 6x4. Pushes 2 up high to get into his back crosses. Now, he made his club routine much harder than it needed to be to win the competition. He's competing against himself here, with 5 club back crosses with doubles, pushed up to triples, and just so well done. A little bit of foot motion, but the throws were so, so good. Here goes. That's a 2-stage 720, so he gets around twice, but he catches 2 in the middle. Little easier than a straight 720, but still super hard. And gets in 1 stacked 975-3-1 with a club behind his back before it ends.
And
just before time expires.
Yep, what a performance by Doug Sayers as you take a look at the replay.
In slow motion, we're seeing that sight swap, that 66661. The 1 is the 1 club he hands across, and then he goes directly into back crosses with that and qualifies him.
Doug, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling all right. I mean, I had quite a few connections that I just didn't do, and a few more drops than I wanted. But,
What was the hardest part when you're standing out there?
well, clubs are hard for me, and I made this routine sort of difficult. So just the nerves with all that, knowing this is a psychological thing.
The final score for Doug's club routine was 7.59.
And so with the 7.59 for Doug Sayers, let's take a look at the final results. And it wasn't so much a competition as it was a coronation, as Dan Brown finishes with 17.62. Jack Levy comes in second at 20.65. Doug Sayers wraps up 25 more points in the short program today to wrap up with 39.32. Scotty, that's a heck of a performance.
It's a beautiful performance by Doug Sayers, and Jack Levy's got to be really happy that he beat Dan Brown here. They are very close in skill, but today, Jack took it.
So there you have it. As Doug is making his way back out into the arena, he is being crowned as the 2012 World Juggling Federation champion.
We have Miss Sioux Empire Fair. That's Alexis Koziak presenting the trophy right there. Congratulations, Doug. Coming up, we've got the most violent form of juggling you've ever seen.
It is going to be great fun. Major League Combat comes your way when we return to the Sioux Falls Arena. Congratulations to Doug Sayers.